guys, what is going on? Blossom is back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives and another episode of what can you get from that pack. Today's pack in question is the USA 1 to 2-seater non-prize car carbon fiber. Now, I'm quite excited about this pack. I mean, honestly, I'm going to be opening one of these packs probably somewhere around in this video, maybe at the end, maybe somewhere in the middle. We'll see how eager I am when it comes to opening this pack. But obviously, I'm a fan of this pack. I'm a fan of American cars. This is, this pack has the 3 American cars I still don't have, or sorry, the 3 Dodges I still don't have. And I mean, yeah, technically it would be better if I open a Dodge carbon fiber, but I have no patience right now. I have the gold, might as well, you know what I mean? But anyway, let's get into it. Today I want to talk about what can you get from this pack. Is it worth opening or not? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're watching right now and you are an American collector, this is probably one of the best American packs for you to open. You get a lot of high performance cars over here, American cars that actually handle very well, some pretty decent epics, ultra rares and legendaries, but I'll let the stats do the talking. I mean, well, not really the stats. I mean, I'll let the video do the talking. So we're going to start with the 2 NSXs. Now, I feel like recently I've been reviewing a lot of packs where these 2 NSXs are available to get, so I'm not going to be talking about too much about those. One is frequent provider and one is daily driver. Also, you see these numbers next to the tiers that I'm putting from Der Kaiser. I mean, you guys know the tiers already. Der Kaiser, daily driver, frequent provider, pernicious ulcer, and hot garbage. They come back every single time for this series, but I started to think, what if I just started grading them? So if Der Kaiser was worth 5 points, daily driver was worth 4 points, frequent provider was worth 3 points, etc, 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 and I'm thinking when I have more time, I'll probably make an Excel sheet or something like that, where I also take into account all the packs I've reviewed in the past, or at least some of them that I've reviewed in the past, rank them all together, and then we'll see what genuinely is the best pack I have reviewed this year. But anyway, those 2, yeah, I think that they deserve where they are right now. Both great cars, and they can both be used in their, specific situations. They both have situations where they'd be useful in. I would say that the blue NSX more than the red. Okay, next is going to be the Cadillac XLRV. Pretty interesting one. MRI isn't very strong, 68.66. 0 to 60 is relatively low. Handling could be a little better, but 89 isn't the worst thing in the world. It has traction control, it has ABS. It is a pretty heavy car though. I mean, it looks light. I mean, you would think it's light because it's a roadster / convertible, whatever it is. I know there's a difference between the 2, but I don't know which is which. But yeah, 1,726 kilograms. Pretty heavy car. I would say that it's really only useful in Cadillac events though, so because of that, I'm going to put it in pernicious ulcer. Outside of Cadillac events, there are better options for you to use. Alright, next is the Chevrolet Aeroved. Pretty interesting one because this car is actually very useful. I would say it has good MRA, 82.96, got a high top speed, low 0 to 60, but the main problem with the Aeroved is, although I know it's a really good car, will I choose this over the Charger 3? And the answer is no. Will I choose this over the Charger Daytona for the test pool? The answer is also no. So the best I can give it is frequent provider, but probably a very high frequent provider if anything. Alright, next one is going to be the Chevrolet Corvette C5. Every time I think of this Corvette, I think of Wyatt. 73.17, so it's, very mid-range MRA. I would say even on the weaker side a little bit. A bit of a hybrid car though. It's got a high top speed, an okay-ish 0 to 60. Not actually, the 0 to 60 isn't really that strong. The handling is okay. At the end of the day, Wyatt, you're probably going to kill me for this, but it is a pernicious ulcer. For 61 IQ, it just misses the mark on many situations, you know what I mean? Like, you got cars like the Acura Nsx, which just handles a little better for a much cheaper IQ. Then you have cars like the Aeroved with a much lower 0 to 60 for, once again, a cheaper IQ. So, the Corvette C5, a bit of a hybrid, and unfortunately, really not what I'm looking for. I do feel like when I do open this pack, the Corvette C5 is going to be the ultra I'm going to get. OG car, though, I will pay homage to that. Now, the Corvette Grand Sport does the job a little better. I know the 0 to 60 isn't there. The MRI isn't there either. I mean, it's 67.22, but the handling is a little better. It's a little cheaper to use. It is slightly heavier compared to the C5 though, but at the end of the day, I go with the car that is cheaper to use in IQ, but higher in handling as well. Next up is the Chrysler Atlantic. A strange one, this one. The Atlantic and the Phaeton is a strange one, but the Phaeton isn't in this pack. The Chrysler Atlantic, 82 MRA. The top speed is, I would say, very bang average. Handling is a little bit on the weaker side, but 0 to 60, once again, it's okay for IQ 56, especially combined with that 82 MRI. That being said though, it's just a worse version of the Chrysler Chrysler Phaeton, so because of that, I'm going to give it pernicious ulcer. Next is the Chrysler Crossfire. You're getting 68 MRA, not really good handling. Not much to say about this car, to be completely honest. I'm going to put it under hot garbage. Then we have the Dodge Circuit EV and the Charger 3. Don't need to talk about these two cars too much. They are blossom choices for a reason. Then we have the Dodge M80. Now, I love this car because it's really quirky. This is a Doug DeMuro car, if anything. It's a very lightweight four-wheel drive all-surface tire car, which is quite rare. I mean, it's 1,134 kilograms, making it lighter than a lot of these high-performance two-seaters that you see over here, you know, that aren't pickup trucks, that aren't all-surface tires or four-wheel drive. So that's the first interesting thing. The second interesting thing is that you see it over here. It's a two-seater. So a very interesting thing in that niche as well, and it handles particularly pretty well. So I would say that it isn't too bad. It's a very quirky car. It also has a concept tag. It's really cheap to use. I would say that when it is used, when it is needed in a multiplayer event, when it's needed in the clubs event, then this car will probably save you many times. That being said though, those events don't show up too often. So why am I ranking this higher than the Cadillac XLR-V? Well, the problem is for the Cadillac XLR-V, I really only use it when it is exclusively Cadillac, but at least for the Dodge M80, I can use it for off-road Dodge events, although they're not too common. Can also use it in a pickup event or maybe a two-seater event where it's all off-road. So I have more avenues to use the Dodge M80 over the Cadillac XLR-V. So even though these two are very similar in the fact that they excel in their niches, the M80 has more avenues to excel in, if that makes sense. Alright, moving on is the Dodge Viper RT10. I freaking love this car, man. I mean, everything about it. It's got an incredibly low 0 to 60, a high top speed, no traction control, no ABS, no MRA, and the handling could be a little bit better as well. 82 isn't high, but at least 4.4 0 to 60 is really interesting. I love this car, don't get me wrong. I really want to put it in daily driver. Also, it's a style icon tag, but I do believe it has a style icon tag. Let me just double confirm that. I think it does. Yeah, it does. American Dream and style icon. All of my biasness wants me to put this in daily driver, but the fact of the matter is, I don't really use the Dodge Viper RT10 all too much. Usually, it's always going to be the Circuit EV and the Charger 3. So, I'll give it a high frequent provider for now. And then moving on is the Ford Bronco concept. Now, the Ford Bronco concept, another two-seater, much like the Dodge M80. Bit of a surprise over here. Also, relatively lightweight, coming in at 1,411 kilograms for a car that also handles very well. I mean, the only thing I can say is that the Ford Bronco concept is literally just the M80. You know, they're both concepts. They're both two-seaters. They're both light for their niche. They're both four-wheel drive, one's all-surface, one's off-road, one's an SUV, one's a pickup truck. I will say though that the Bronco concept is better than the M80, so I'm gonna bump it up to daily driver, mainly because off-road tires over all-surface tires any day of the week, baby. And last but not least, the last Ultra to talk about is the Pontiac Solstice GXP Coupe. Very bang average car, I would say, for 51 RQ, 5.483. I would put it in frequent provider. Handling is really useful. It also has more MRA than the Crossfire. It's also cheaper to use in the Crossfire, and it's lighter than the Crossfire as well, so I'm gonna put it at frequent provider. I feel like some people might disagree with me on that one. It might be a pernicious ulcer, but once again, there are only 3 Pontiac Ultras in the game, and that's one of the better ones because it's really the Trans Ams and the 30th anniversary Firebirds, which are the ones that are pretty crap. Alright, moving on to the Epics now. We've got a lot of Epics to talk about. What a nice pack we got going on over here, huh? Alright, first one, Acura HSC. I mean, it's got decent MRA, man. 83.33, 89 MRA as well, and it's really light, coming in at 1,150 kilograms. Definitely a daily driver, a car that I'm looking out for. Then we have the Chevrolet Corvette C6. Unfortunately, this one not much to talk about. I mean, it handles okay, 0 to 60 is low, top speed is high, but there's no MRI over there. 70.91, a little bit of a Bentley, but at least it handles, right? And at least it's way lighter as well. That being said though, bang average car, frequent provider. Next one is the Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport. You know what? This is the bang average Corvette. I'm going to move the Corvette C6 down to pernicious ulcer. How far the Corvette Grand Sport has fallen. It used to be one of the best epics in the game, but with the introduction of the Dodge Viper SRT10, for example, the Grand Sport kind of falls down the pecking order. Now, don't get me wrong, the Grand Sport is still, incredibly handling car. 99 when you max it out. But the problem is, all these Vipers being added to the game, you know, they got MRA. They can hit 90 plus. And unfortunately, the Grand Sport, this is where it really falls behind. 77.48 MRI just isn't good enough. I know it has 99 handling, but you gotta remember, these Vipers, they can hit 99, but they can hit 98. I'd rather have one handling less if that meant 15 MRA more, okay? Even though, as much as I love handling. Okay, next up is gonna be the Chevrolet Corvette Stingray C7, the Z51. Better MRA than the Grand Sport, but worse in every other way. It just handles a little bit less. Same top speed, but a much lower 0 to 60. Well, actually a slower 0 to 60, not much slower. At the end of the day, though, I think both of them are frequent provider, but obviously the Grand Sport is better than the Corvette in my opinion. Alright, moving on now is the Z06. What we got about this baby? 78.28 MRI. I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's kind of like the C6, so I'm going to put them here together. The thing is, yeah, they're both from 2000s as well, huh? It feels a bit wrong to put them in pernicious ulcer. I feel like you can argue to bring this up here, but I can't, because the problem is, if I put the Grand Sport up here, it will mean I have to put the GTSR up there. The GTSR isn't their Kaiser. I would say that the GTSR is daily driver, and if that's the case, then I have to bring the Grand Sport down. Remember, the GTSR has like 91 MRA. It's incredible. And the reason why I have to put the GTSR over here is because the SRT10 is the top dog. It's got the best stats, it's got the lowest 0 to 60, got the highest top speed, and it's got 90 MRA. So that's kind of the pecking order. That's kind of the hierarchy that I'm working with right now. Then we have the Z08. The Z08 is like the king daddy of the Corvettes. I'll bring it up over here. Slightly worse version, I would say, of the Viper SRT10 that it stands next to, but you know, it's got a really low 0 to 60. The MRA isn't too bad. It's 80.88. It still has 88 handling. It's a lighter version of the Viper SRT10. The main thing here is that the Corvette Z06 it's got a 0.2 seconds faster to 60, but the Viper has a higher top speed and 10 more MRA with the same handling. So the Viper is going to be the better car, but you still have your top dog Corvette. I still think it's a fantastic 79. All right, next up is the Lincolnfelter. This one, I feel like it's gonna go legendary if they get the stats right. For now, I'm gonna put it under daily driver, but it's got the MRA, man. It's got the MRA. 85 MRA, lightweight car, handles pretty well, and a high top speed. Used to be a fantastic car, American all-rounder before the introduction of the American Frontier Vipers. Then we have the Chevrolet Corvette Zr1. Nothing good to say about this. I mean, it's really just an ultra in disguise. Hog garbage. Alright, Chevrolet Mirai is going to be their Kaiser as well. You know, it's got the handling, it's got the 4-wheel drive, it's got the low 0 to 60 for 65 RQ. That's definitely going up in RQ because it's got a low top speed, eh? Robin already said all the low top speed cars are going to go up, so there you go. Chrysler Firepower. I mean, is it really pernicious ulcer? We don't ever really use it. 4585 of 79 MRA. I'm gonna put it out of hog garbage, honestly. And then the M4S. Now the M4S is an interesting one because it's got amazing MRA. It's got amazing top speed. Okay, 97 MRA with 195 miles per hour for a top speed. So you'd be thinking, Blossom, you're crazy. Why would you put this in frequent provider? And you know what? A part of me really wants to put it in daily driver, mainly because it also has that 80s niche. And I think mainly because of that 80s niche, I'm gonna put it as a low daily driver, not a really high frequent provider. The problem is with the M4S is, yeah, it's got a high top speed, yeah, it's got a really good MRA, but that's like all the epic Dodges anyway, right? So you're a dime a dozen, buddy. It's kind of like how all Subarus are medium ground clearance and 4-wheel drives. All Dodges basically need to require to have high top speeds, good MRA, and low 0 to 60s, and that's where the M4S kind of falls back upon. It doesn't have the lowest 0 to 60. Most Dodge epics are able to go sub 4 second, so 4.1 is considered slow, so that's a high standard to go by. All right, talking about sub 4 second Dodges, we have the Sidewinder, 95 MRA on this one, and you know, that's the thing, right? Like, if I have to put the M4S in daily driver, does that mean I have to put the Sidewinder in daily driver too? Because 95 MRA, it's got a low top speed, or lower, I mean, it's got a bad top speed, it's got a lower 0 to 60 compared to the M4S, handles a little bit worse as well. I don't know. Look, you gotta draw the borderline somewhere, okay? Like, you know, 93 is an A, 92 is an A minus. They're very close, but there's a difference. And I think that's the situation over here. The M4S and the Sidewinder really is sitting on both sides of the border, I would say. So I put the Sidewinder at the top of frequent provider and the M4S at the bottom of daily driver, if that makes sense. All right, let's move on to the Vipers now. Now these two, once again, really good MRI. The ACR from 1999 is 87 and the SRT10 is 89. But at the end of the day, both of them are not very good. Mainly because they have better versions, older brothers or younger brothers, if you want to call it that way. There are Vipers out there, epic Vipers that are just better, so those two kind of fall under the, you know, irrelevant tab. And then we have the Dodge Viper SRT 1091 MRI, so this is like the top dog out of the three, and because of that, I'm going to put it on the frequent provider. It handles quite well. It is quite heavy though, coming in at 1,565 kilograms, but 91 MRI, that ain't too bad as well, with the top speed to back it up. So I'm going to put it here with the average Corvettes. Then we have the we have the triple Mustangs. I'm going to put all the Mustangs into Kaiser. They both can handle like at least 100, if not more than 100 handling, right? They both have slick tires, but they're also quite light. The GT4 is light. GT4 is 1,390. The FR500 GT is kind of heavy, but it's got good MRA, 90.81. The GT4 is 85.42, and the Concept has 79.97. So the worst of the bunch, but really these three Mustangs, you don't want to mess with them. The GMC Cyclone is going to be Dirk Kaiser as well. Really is one of those sleeper four-wheel drive standard tire cars. I know it's not going to be the DS numero 9, and it's not going to be the Cadillac CT6, but for 71 RQ, you are getting some pretty good value out of this car, and I use it in the dry sometimes as well. Alright, moving on now are the legendaries. The first one is the Acura Nsx, which is like a really crappy Bugatti if you asked me. Not a really good legendary. I don't know, maybe I'm being too mean putting it there, but 78 MRA for a car at 91 RQ just isn't good enough in my opinion. Then we have the Srt Viper. It's also going to be a daily driver. You get 93 MRA, so that is high, and it's capable of hitting 100 handling. So really one of those top dog Vipers. I would say an epic killer, but you have to max it out, and that is the main problem over there. So most of the time, this Viper is going to lose to the epic Vipers, but mine's max, so you know, Bollywood. Alright, next up, Viper ACR. Definitely Dirk Kaiser. So many good things to say about this. 95 MRA is the highest handling non-prize American car at 94. It is the highest handling non-prize legendary as well. Joint highest handling with, I think, a Gumpert of some kind. But yeah, the Viper ACR, absolutely fantastic car. Love my Hollywood so much. Alright, moving on is the one of the best RQ81s in the game in my opinion as well. A lot to ask for here. 96 MRA, and it's just a better version of the SRT 10. Slightly lower 0 to 60, better MRA, and way better handling as well. The only difference here is that the Epic Viper is going to be the car that you want to use for the test bowl because it's 202 compared to 176. Moving on now is going to be the Syracuse, or you know, Viper TA. I like to call them by the actual names I gave them, I guess. 91 MRA, great handling, low 0 to 60 and high top speed. And then last but not least, we have the Fords. So I'm going to give the Ford GT and the Ford GT90. Both of them are going to get Dirk Kaiser, but unfortunately the Ford GT, ooh, do I put it in frequent provider as a high frequent provider? If I put the Ford GT in frequent provider, I feel like I kind of have to put the SRT Viper in frequent provider as well. The problem is, right, the SRT Viper has better MRA, right? It's 93 compared to 88, and the SRT Viper once again handles better. It's 90 compared to 89. It's got a higher top speed at the same time, so it's probably going to win in the test bowl. The only thing that the Ford GT has over it is that, well, it's got the 2000s niche and a lower 0 to 60. Once again, I think we have to draw a fine line border, and I feel like the Viper SRT is kind of like at the bottom of daily driver, and the Ford GT is at the top of frequent providers. So anyway, that is going to be it. That is my verdict. This is my final judgment of the American 1 to 2 seater carbon fiber. I like this pack. I mean, it's no lie. I like this pack. So let's jump into top drives right now. I'm going to crack a pack open, see what we get. Probably going to be an ultra rare, and then we'll end the video off. Bada bing, bada boom, and we're back. I know I just opened a Peugeot carbon fiber yesterday. I really shouldn't be spending this much gold, but like I said, you know what? I'll keep it above 60k. As long as I stay above 60k gold, we're chilling. Last time was 50k. If I just save 10k at a time, that'd be chill. So I can afford one. Watch the next price. Well, you know what? Before I make a mistake and I open something, open the pack with the gold. Is the next thing out yet? No. Okay, so we don't know what the next prize car is going to be. It's probably going to end up being something really good, and I have to spend like 10k and I go back down to 50k gold. But anyway, I'm going to open this pack because I am a fan. 1 to 2 seaters. Let me know down in the comments below what you think I'm going to get. It's been a while, man. It's been a while since I really got something that I truly loved. Even an Epic is going to be welcome. So we'll find out. 4 Thunderbird and... Hey! Oh! Hey! That's actually pretty good. I will take that. That is really good. I'm really happy with that. It's been a while since I pulled something good. Oh, dude, that could have been the Viper though. I think there were only 2. There were 3. There were 3 79s you could pull, right? It was the Ford, the slick tire, American front. Oh, you know, I ain't complaining. fantastic. That is a Der Kaiser pool. That is absolutely amazing. I have one Max, but you know, having two Max would make me a king in Chevrolet events. That, I'm really happy with that. I'm really, really happy. It's been a while since I've gotten something that good. I'm happy. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. As you can see, I'm a huge fan of this pack. Once again, if you're an American collector, you should rip this open as well. But overall, it's a pretty decent showing. But if I have to be completely honest and completely unbiased, what is the better pack? The Peugeot carbon fiber or the 1 to 2-seaters? From a general standpoint, unfortunately, the answer would be the Peugeot carbon fiber. So on that bombshell, I hope you have a great day. I'm going to stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville
Pontiac.
Hold tight all night, cruise to Jacksonville
Atlantic.
Blonde hair, don't care, look like Leslie Brooks. Pin up girls everywhere with the drop dead look. Swing it side to side as we slow dance to the night.